It was finally time. Rhys, future me, and I went to Armeus' mansion and snuck in through a tunnel. We saw several clones of Armeus roaming the halls. How do we know which one is the real one? Rhys asked. To make this many clones at once, it must be very exhausting, future me said. Look for the one that's the most exhausted. Let's go check his room, I suggested. Good idea. He may be resting in there, future me said. Let's hurry. We rushed down the hallway, sneaking past Armeus' clones. We got to Armeus' room and quietly opened the door. Thankfully, he seemed to be deep in his sleep. We went in and closed the door. Rhys made a dagger out of ice and took a deep breath. As he went to stab Armeus, Armeus opened his eyes and held his hand up and sent Rhys flying with a telekinetic ability. Rhys was sent flying out the door, causing a loud crashing sound. All the nearby clones heard it and came rushing. Darn it, I said, just before the telekinetic Armeus used his ability to pull me towards him. I used the momentum and kicked him in the face, breaking his nose and causing him to drop me. He growled and turned into a puff of smoke. They seem to disappear when you injure them enough, Rhys said. Then injure them, future me said as she stabbed a clone with a dagger of ice. We did our best, trying to kill them all and find the real one. We punched, kicked, stabbed, suffocated, choked, and burned what we thought were all the clones. We were exhausted. We thought we were done fighting. A vine came through a window, grabbing me and pulling me inside. Rhys and future me followed where the vine was pulling me. Eventually, an arm came around my neck and started trying to choke me. I couldn't breathe. Rhys and future me ran up. Let her go, Rhys said as a sword of ice appeared in his hand. Stay back or I kill her, Armeus said as he put a knife to my throat. Why do you bother trying to save her? You know you'll never win. She's always gonna end up dead if you keep fighting. Just give up. I never give up, and you know that, Rhys said. This time is very different than all the other times. Yeah? And how's that? Because she's still alive after our fight a few days ago? Armeus asked. No, she will be mine. She always will be mine. You know it's not up to you. She doesn't love you. And after everything you've done, she never will, Rhys said. Shut up! Armeus writhed before releasing a shockwave, which sent future me, Rhys, and I flying. We became disoriented, and our ears were ringing. Our heads had pounding headaches, and we were unable to get up. Armeus walked over to me and grabbed me by the hair. He started dragging me inside. I couldn't do anything to fight. My vision was blurry, and I couldn't understand what was going on around me. I reached out to the others, screaming, begging them to help me. After losing my voice, my vision was starting to get better. I grabbed Armeus' wrist and started to freeze it. He let go of my hair and held his wrist, growling. No longer disoriented, I got up and started punching and kicking him. He dodged everything. I did everything I could to land a hit, but I couldn't. He kicked me in the stomach and used the shockwave to send me flying. He started walking up to me. Just as he was about to grab me, something flew by, grabbing Armeus by the throat. I got up and looked to see what it was. It was a man in a cloak. I couldn't see his face. He started punching and kicking Armeus and soon threw him into the wall of the mansion. Armeus started fighting back. There were big bursts of shockwaves, none of which were strong enough to send the man flying. Every time Armeus tried to punch the man, he would catch his wrist and throw him or kick him. Armeus released another shockwave, which was strong enough to tear the cloak off the man. The man behind the cloak was Armeus? Why are there two Armeuses? I thought to myself. Well, evil Armeus said. Where have you been, traitor? Training, my savior said. Training to stop this, once and for all. I should have made you go poof before you became self-aware, Armeus said before a bunch of other clones surrounded all of us. And I should have killed you when I had the chance, good Armeus said. They all started fighting again. Rhys, future me, and I joined in. The Armeus that saved me seemed to have super strength. Is this the same Armeus that kissed me? Good Armeus and I came back to back. The real me is in the basement, unguarded. Go, kill him, he said. What will happen if I do? Then all the clones disappear. Even you? He was silent for a bit before answering. I'm not sure, but it's a risk you have to take. I nodded. I ran away from the battle to find the real Armeus. I killed a few clones on the way there, making ice spikes and fireballs to shoot at them. I made it to the basement and saw the real Armeus sitting on the edge of the bed, pale and breathing heavily. He was exhausted from using too many clones at once. I only glared at him. He tried to make another clone, but I killed it with ease. He let out a sigh. So I've finally lost, he said. I've never won anyway. It was always a tie. Until now. He stood up and walked to me, limping a bit. I made a sword of ice and was ready to kill him. He fell to his knees and looked up at me in defeat. You've become too strong for me, Araea, he said. But let me ask you a favor before you kill me. What do you want? I asked. Let me watch the sunset one last time. I nodded and helped him to the roof. There he sat and watched as the sun began to set. From here, we could see that all the clones were defeated. I was just angry, he said, and I let my anger get the best of me. Look where it got me. You should have thought it through before trying what you did, I said. Perhaps, maybe then, I could have lived instead of it ending this way. The sun was finally down, and the others had joined us on the roof. It's finally over, Rhys said. We can finally stop this charade. I got my final wish, Armeus said. I just hope I can rest peacefully. I made a sword of ice and came up behind Armeus. He closed his eyes, and I put my sword through his chest. He fell to the ground and let out his final breath. The good Armeus walked over to me and gave me a hug. We all expected him to go poof, but he didn't. I think because I became my own person and the real me is dead, I technically became the real Armeus, he said. I was glad to still have my best friend. I couldn't wait to go back to my normal life. Me, Rhys, and Armeus had a little group hug. Future me said her goodbyes and went back to her time. Let's go home, I said. We all went back to Rhys's cabin and repaired it quickly. We all went to sleep and had the best sleep in weeks. Several weeks had passed since I killed Armeus. We went back to school and things almost went back to normal. Word got around that I kissed Armeus on the day of that field trip, and I became pretty popular. I didn't really like the spotlight, and I started sitting with Rhys and Armeus at lunch rather than by myself. I started doing better in my classes, and I was no longer bullied for not having an ability. One kid did try to bully me, and I froze him to the wall. He ended up getting detention for missing 3 classes. Rhys and I became a couple and spent a lot of time together. Armeus and I remained friends. The 3 of us would often hang out, whether we were doing homework or playing laser tag at a local laser tag place. Rhys's dad got back from his business trip later than expected. He wasn't very happy when he found out what happened to the cabin. I knew we were gonna have a lot to deal with in the future, but we were ready to deal with anything. We were happy, and we had nothing to fear. For now.
Hey guys, I hope you all enjoyed the video, but now let's talk about YouTube statistics. Now according to YouTube statistics, only a small percentage of my viewers are subscribed. So if you aren't subscribed, then please do subscribe. It's free and you can always change your mind and it really helps me out. And also be sure to click the notification bell so that you get notified anytime I upload. Please have a great day/night.